Hi.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Billy.
And this is The Housewife Did It. Guest version. So Mary's out of town, so Billy's joining me for our pop culture episode today. It's going to be a little weird being in person with my co-host.
I'm also far less knowledgeable about the Bravo universe and most pop culture things.
He's lying. He's obsessed with Bravo. So...
I love it, but my repertoire is not as vast.
Yeah. So a little housekeeping. We still have merch that's being added. We've added a little bit of, I added a Pride design. Mary's been adding a few more. So that's on Bonfire. That'll be in the show notes again. And is in our Instagram bio. So YouTube and Instagram, Housewife Did It Pod, Housewife Singular. It seems right now that YouTube videos are coming out the day after the podcast version, the audio. So we're on track for that. That's not a promise every week, but Mary's been getting them out pretty consistently the day after.
Life happens.
Yes. So I don't know how this week will go with her out of town, but... All right, we're going to end on Vanderpump today because I think that's going to be the bulk.
Start with the stuff I don't know about.
Yeah. So I've been watching the Ultimatum Queer Love. Billy watched a little bit.
2 episodes.
Yeah, he's not up to date with me, so I'm going to just talk about what's been going on. So truly... So we got the second round of episodes. Netflix releases in 4 episodes.
Batches.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 4 episodes 1 week. Last week we got 4 more episodes. Then the next one will be where they pick, where they choose if they're going to stay with their original people.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So far what we know is that Vanessa truly sucks.
Yes.
Really bad.
I know that much.
Yeah. I still think one of the most hilarious and validating moments was when Vanessa told everyone, this was from the first set of released episodes, so you may have seen this with me, but Vanessa said that Xander would not find anyone because she would be asexual if it wasn't for Vanessa. And then it cuts to a scene of Xander telling Yoli, I'm an incredibly sexual person.
Yeah. I did not see that, but you did make sure to tell me about that.
Yeah. Stupid Vanessa. So just quick updates, I guess. After they switch back to their original partners, I'm sure this is where the show gets the bulk of their drama every season. So there's drama, obviously. So Aussie and Sam, clearly their communication is horrible, but it also seems like Aussie has some other things going on.
Is Aussie the one with the dog issue?
No. That was Tiff. Aussie is Australian.
Okay.
But Aussie... It was the 2 Asian girls.
Okay, got it.
But Aussie has mentioned a few times having some gender questions.
Is Aussie the one that got the complaints about them basically not doing anything? Okay, got it.
But Aussie has mentioned a few times questioning her gender, but also has said on multiple occasions she is sure her family, she's not out to her family.
Oh, okay.
And so she is sure, it will not go well. So I think that for her, there's more to this than just...
questioning identity.
Yeah, I think there's more than just, the arguing of 2 people. I think it's, really deep.
Got it.
For her. Mildred and Tiff, pure chaos. Just truly.
I don't even remember.
Tiff was the dog one.
Yeah, okay.
And Mildred...
I'm just trying to remember faces because I haven't watched much. But yeah, Tiff is... god-awful from what
chaos. They are some...
looking for any excuse to get out is what it looks like to me.
Yeah, but I don't have much other to say about them other than, not good. It's not good. Mal and Lexi, so cute.
Yes.
But I definitely think they both are super in love with their original partners. They just, are really good humans to each other. But I don't think... My guess is that they don't end up together.
Okay.
I did see on Instagram that Lexi and Mal are still hanging out, which I don't really think they would be posting if they were together, because that would be a spoiler. So I think they're hanging out as friends. That's my guess. But they did say, we will be in each other's lives forever, which I think is cute. Yeah, whatever. Then the interesting people. So Vanessa and Ray had sex during their trial marriage. Lexi, who is Ray's original girlfriend, did not like this, but mostly because of who Vanessa is what she says. Right. Which I agree. I would not want my girlfriend to hook up with Vanessa because Vanessa sucks. But Lexi and Ray did admit that they did not go into this with any rules, any expectations of each other. Like, they were allowed to have sex with whoever. But now Lexi can't stop saying, like, well, does this mean you're going to cheat on me? Which I think is, like, a little unfair. Yeah. Like, if this is something you agreed to go into as a couple, you should be able, and you decide to come back to it afterwards, that should be something that you're okay with. Yeah. Afterwards. Like, you just have to accept that. Yeah, and I think, like, of course it does have a little to do with who Vanessa is, but also, like, that doesn't mean that Ray's going to cheat when you're not. Like, they weren't together. Right. That's the whole point.
Does not really change the person you were with.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Then, big surprise, Vanessa decides that she can't handle all the focus being on her for having sex, so she decides in front of everybody to ask Xander and Yoli if they had sex.
Oh my god.
She said, like, can I ask if y'all have been physically intimate? And Yoli was like, I think that's something you and Xander should discuss on your own.
Yeah. Let's not do this in a public setting.
So then, when they get alone, but obviously still in front of cameras,
right.
Vanessa is like, so are you going to tell me, like, was it your fingers? Was it your mouth? And Xander was like, you really need details. Oh. And you can, like, clearly tell that Xander's discomfort with answering is the camera part. Because Xander's like, do you really need to know all of that right now? Mm-hmm. And Vanessa's like, yes. And I think Xander knows that Vanessa wants it to be on camera. Yeah. So it's, like, even weirder because she's, like, basically, like, looking at the camera and being like, yeah, tell me now. Right. It's, like, weird.
Which is what Vanessa's been doing this entire time. Right. It's all about the cam.
Yeah. So... And then it shows, like, a preview of Mal asking Yoli to marry her. We don't know what Yoli's answer is going to be yet because Yoli is also in love with Xander. Good God, I just hope Xander and Vanessa don't get engaged. Yeah. Please, God. Okay. Any other questions about the ultimatum? You ready for Summer House?
Yeah. It's something I'm just not super invested in yet.
It's almost over.
The formula is just way too chaotic for me, I think. So, yeah.
Okay. Summer House. Reunion.
Woo!
Part 1.
Something I know about.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So, Paige versus Lindsay.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah.
We love it.
I will say, I'm kind of scared to say this because I'm learning that Summer House fans are brutal. But we are typically Paige fans.
Yeah, we like Paige for the most part.
But I will say we're noticing a pattern here that Paige keeps her mouth shut during the season, and then she comes in reunion with, like, vitriol.
Yeah.
Every
time. It's always at Lindsay.
Well, fair.
Yeah, Lindsay sucks.
But, and I do think a lot happens between filming and the reunion, but, like, every year Paige comes into the reunion, like, livid.
Hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, body language closed off, not even looking in the same direction as Lindsay, you name it.
Yeah. So, Paige claimed that she knows that Carl and Lindsay, like, feed stories to the press, that she knows how People Magazine works, and if their engagement was announced 4 hours after, then they must have called People and all of this stuff, which has, People Magazine, the guy that said, like, I did this story, has come out and said, like, unfortunately, Paige does not know how People works.
Yeah.
And he said that basically People Magazine was informed really quickly because they were celebrating their engagement at a public bar. Like, they had that party afterwards at a bar, and so Bravo, who obviously, like, has ties to People, but also they know what's happening in real time because they're there filming it. So Bravo basically said, like, please break this story before some random bar patron can, which is fair. So I guess they're trying to say that, like, they can get stories out that fast if need be.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Paige.
Yeah, we like Paige for the most part.
Yeah.
Of the rest of the cast, I don't know, she's done a few things for me personally. I can't remember them right now, but she has lost some points from me just with her attitude sometimes. But generally, she's on the right side of things.
Well, it's hard because she's like one of my favorites, and so is Carl. But with Carl
being with
Lindsay,
yeah. But I love it, actually. I kind of love Carl being the likable guy he is, being lumped in with the chaos of Lindsay. It's like I love him having to choose a side, and he's choosing the wrong side.
Yeah.
So.
Dumois also came out and said they cannot identify who sends them blind items, but that they can confirm that Lindsay and Carl have never, like, personally DM'd them stories. I will say, though, Dumois also said no one from Summer House has ever personally DM'd us stories. So I think that doesn't really prove anything for me.
Yeah.
Because who is stupid enough to send it in from their own personal DMs? Like, they're gonna send it as a blind item. So I don't really understand, like, I don't know. I mean, not that I believe Paige knows for sure, but Lindsay does seem like the type
that would put stuff out
would
there.
Do that, yeah. Paige also claims that Lindsay threw a shoe at a producer at one point.
I believe it.
Yeah, and that at BravoCon, Andy had to yell at Lindsay at one point for being rude to staff.
I believe that too.
So, during the reunion, strangely enough, Lindsay does not, like, outright deny the shoe thing. Like, we were sitting there saying, like, why is she not saying no? Why is she not saying, like, that didn't happen? Like, she was just, like, not really saying anything. But she did, since then, go on Instagram and say, like, I never threw a shoe at anyone.
Okay.
So she has now denied it, but it seems a little...
do it in the moment. But Lindsay has a tendency to do that. Like, when she's in the heat of arguments of, like, people throwing accusations at her, she rarely will outright deny them on the spot.
Well, I think because she knows, like, she doesn't know what information they have, like, what are they going to clap back and say, and she can't respond. On Instagram, you can say whatever you want, like, no one can immediately clap back.
Yeah.
But then I think the claim that she was rude to someone at BravoCon feels pretty true to me, because I do think Andy would have said, like, that is not what happened. Or he would have said, like, I did not yell at her, or I did not have to reprimand her. But he just sat there like this.
Yeah. If Andy is talking kind of, I don't know, Andy a lot of the time has to be the voice of, like, production.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I think if there was something to that extent, he would confirm or deny. He would set the record straight just to save face with production.
Well, he has done it before where he said, like, I will say we did not ask you to say that. Yeah. I know for a fact that, like, production did not ask you to do that. Like, when Luke a few years ago claimed in a reunion that production forced him to ask Hannah to go to Minnesota. And Andy was like, no, we did not. Like, we did not ask you to do that. So I feel like Andy would have said, like, that's not true. And the fact that he didn't say anything makes me think, like, she was rude enough to someone at BravoCon. And I think that's been, like, a running theme for Lindsay, is people say she's mean to fans, she's, like, mean to staff.
Rude to everybody. Rude to her friends.
Yeah.
Danielle, namely.
Yeah. A lot of cast members corroborated this idea that Lindsay, and thus now Lindsay and Carl, like, spin things. I think, duh.
I believe it.
But I also, like, cannot understand what Lindsay's huge fucking problem is with people just saying, like, hey, it's a little weird. Like, Kyle, Danielle, and Maya have all said, like, you dating someone that we've known you around for 7 seasons of this show or more, and having never been in a relationship, that's a little weird. Like, we're gonna need a minute to get used to that. And she loses her fucking shit. And it's like, why is it not allowed to be weird for them?
And just for some context of my own viewing, I have sporadically watched Summer House. Like, I caught kind of the tail end, the last few seasons of you watching it and catching up. And we have just recently started it from the beginning so that I can see it from the ground up. And we're already seeing very common themes from season 1 to what I've seen of recent days with her and Carl.
With Lindsay,
Yeah, with Lindsay and Carl. But, like, at the first season, Lindsay and Everett, she is so quick to get defensive of anyone who is slightly judgmental of their relationship or doesn't, roll out the red carpet for her and Everett. So it's just like, okay, this is who Lindsay is. How many seasons is it? 10?
7.
7? Okay.
So, I mean, what she's doing to Danielle right now is exactly what she did to Christina in season 1. And it's very, like, I was saying this when we were watching it, it's very, like, giving Stassi, like, throwing all of her friends away. But when Stassi threw all of her friends away, like, she had to leave the show. And, like, she was, like, shit out of luck. And it was, like, you're on the outs. But with Lindsay, somehow she
maintains it.
Season 1, apparently she wins that fight because then Christina's gone.
Yeah.
But now it's like, if everyone hates her and Carl, what is next season going to look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ultimately do not think that we're going to get an apology from Lindsay to Danielle in the reunion or ever.
No.
And I don't think Lindsay really cares about the friendship anymore. Like, I think she is done, and she does just want, like, minions. And if Danielle's not just going to get on board with whatever she wants, then she's out. But, yeah, I mean, I think the major question to me is, like, how is that going to change the cast? We saw in season 5, right? Season 5, I think, that when no one wanted to be friends with Hannah Berner anymore, she left the cast. Because they say this about Vanderpump Rules, this is a group of friends. So if you're not our friend, then why are you here? You know?
Is Carl still working for Kyle?
I don't really know. I've been trying to figure that out from the reunion. Because when we finished the show, like the season, yes, he was, but like still thinking about leaving. So the reunion, I feel like they mentioned something that I was like, oh, does he not work for him anymore?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, he did say that him and Lindsay and Kai Manda had all just gone to a wedding in Ireland together. So, Kyle and Amanda.
Oh, okay, got it.
That the 4 of them have been hanging out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, technically...
I was about to say, I feel like I don't see Carl and Kyle
breaking up.
Yeah, not being friends. Yeah. Kyle doesn't seem like the kind of person that would let his relationship with Lindsay, like, I think he's going to power through either way. And
yeah, but it's like, is that enough? If everyone else on the show hates them, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I would hate to see Danielle be the one to leave.
Yeah,
like, I think that would suck.
Yeah.
But I also think technically Lindsay still has the new people, like Sam and Gabby were like still on her side and defending her. Chris seems to have a little crush on Danielle, so maybe they'll keep her around for that storyline.
Yeah.
But
yeah, unfortunately, I think just at this point, Danielle does have like less support on her side.
Really?
I mean,
she has like everyone.
Like, I think she has. Well,
I think even Kyle and Amanda support Danielle. They just haven't given up on Lindsay and Carl yet, and I want them to.
I don't know.
Give up on Lindsay.
Guess we'll see.
Last thing from that, which, okay, this isn't a huge deal because he's not a main cast member, but Oliver cheating on Maya with 11 women, like, that's kind of, I just didn't think he was much of a player.
Yeah, he's been very irrelevant,
kind
of up until this point, but that's probably been to his benefit in terms of his cheating, so.
And she did say that he had his own summer house, like, with his friends that summer. So he was, like, in the Hamptons with other people all summer, so I mean, I guess that's pretty conducive to hooking up with other people.
Yeah.
But I know our main focus is on Vanderpump reunions at this point, but the Summer House ones are good. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Fuck Lindsay.
Yeah,
Man.
Lindsay sucks.
But I feel like she's always gonna win.
Probably. Just at this point, a core cast member. Her and Carl have almost just become like a power, like that's what I'm saying as far as like Danielle is concerned, is that she just doesn't, she is not a vet at this point, really. Like Carl and Lindsay
she's been on a lot of seasons, but it's been like sometimes she's a friend, not a main cast. Sometimes she's not on. She's not on season 1, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Sad.
Rip.
Okay, into the juice.
Into Vanderpump Rules reunion part 2.
Overall, how are you feeling?
I don't know. My feeling so far is that I think my expectations were really high, and like while I'm here for the chaos, I think it is just like we're getting less substance out of it.
With James getting up.
Well,
every
yeah,
5
like
minutes.
James is getting up and walking out every, I can only assume hour with how long they're filming that. But it's just like he's getting up, being belligerent, all that kind of stuff, and it is just like, I don't know, while I'm here for just all of the hate basically being focused on Sandoval so far, and I appreciate that, and like every time he speaks, someone shuts him down, and I love that, but it's just like,
tiring.
It's the same thing. Like, while I knew this was going to be the biggest thing this season, like, I feel like it's going to be the only thing we're talking about, which, I don't know.
Which Lala said on her podcast, like, we fully intended. She said, like, I wanted them to ask about everything else because we all have our own lives and we all have our own shit. But she said as soon as questions started coming out about things that weren't related to Scandival, we just flipped it right back. She was like, we couldn't focus on anything else.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, and Katie said to Lala one time when she pulled her in the back, Lala was like, yo, I can't stop. Like, I can't stop telling him to shut the fuck up. And Katie was like, I understand, but I kind of just want to get through this. Yeah. And I think they were trying to say that to James and Lala, which, listen, we're all living for James and Lala. Yeah. But I think...
comedic duo right now.
Yeah, but I think that they're also, like, tired. And they're like, okay, listen, if y'all can't let Andy ask a single question, we're going to be here forever. They already said it was, like, planned for 10 hours. Yeah. So...
Well, it's just like, I don't know. There's a... I know that the focus has to have been shifted, but it's like there are a lot of other storylines from this season that I would like a little bit more flushing out. Like, honestly, I want to see Katie go in on Tom Schwartz just for how shitty he was this season to her. And even Lala and Schwartz for the scene at the bar.
Yeah.
I want to get some resolution to that. Katie, Sheena, like, I understand that they've kind of had to bury the hatchet at this point, but they went through some shit together this season. It's just like, I know that this has to take precedent over all of it, but I want people to get their just desserts this season. Like, everybody sucked this season.
I know, I hadn't even thought about that. I do wish we had gotten, and I'm guessing we're not going to now, with a third part, it's going to be only about,
Well, especially since we're bringing Raquel out. Like, they're not going to deviate from that.
But I do wish we had gotten more of an apology from Schwartz to Lala, which of course I wish that.
Or well, and we might get this, I guess, since Raquel is going to be joining in the last part, but the Raquel Terry stuff. Like, I need somebody to drag her for the way that she's, even if
not even that, the uncut, like the part we didn't see, that Lala and Kristen and Katie have all talked about, where Tom told Terry to shut the fuck up and almost fought Katie's brother. Like, I want to hear about that. Yeah. Generally, I should have known, I guess, but I didn't realize Tom and Rachel would make themselves look even worse. Yeah. Like, they are digging that hole.
Oh, it's awful.
It's beautiful.
I will say that my opinion has... I've told you this... And take this with a grain of salt. Not that you guys probably care about my opinion at this point. But I am starting to shift more and more of the blame on Sandoval as we're watching this reunion, because it's just like the scene in the trailer. It feels like, as stupid as Raquel is, and she is pretty damn stupid, it does seem like through her watching his portions without her, she is starting to realize that she has not been told the full truth about what was happening when the affair started and everything like that. I do think that he was giving her some level of expectations that he obviously never intended to follow through with.
Yeah.
Not as to say she obviously is not responsible for her part in this, but I do think that my opinion of this being like a 50-50 kind of responsibility is starting to shift a little bit.
You're fully on he's a manipulative narcissist.
Yes.
Train.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
We're going to get to the trailer. Okay? We're going to talk about what we think.
Part 3 trailer?
No, the trailer, when she's in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
We're going to get to that. First, Tom, both the Toms, but
Suck.
They say some pretty disgusting things to Lala.
Yeah.
Obviously I ride for Lala, but we obviously saw in the regular season, the moment that Tom criticized Lala for letting a guy like that knock her up in reference to Randall, and conceiving Ocean, their daughter. But then at the reunion, he says to her, well, you pulled your IUD as soon as Stassi got pregnant, which is gross.
Just
and
ugly.
Lala said on Instagram after this that she did not hear him say this in person. And if she had, like, Lord only knows.
Heads would have rolled.
Yeah, but she took to Instagram in her, nighttime robe.
Yeah, with her binky and...
Yeah.
Or Bubba or whatever she calls it.
Yeah, so she was clearly upset by this. And she was just saying that, like, obviously her relationship did not end well, but, like, the conception of her daughter, which is, like, the best thing to have happened to her, is, like, kind of off limits.
Yeah.
Tom Sandoval doesn't know any off limits topics. So, yeah. I think it's just super gross. Also, how in the hell would he know when and why Lala got her IUD removed by a medical professional? Not to mention the years and years of Tom and his friends, Jax and Schwartz, shitting on and shaming Ariana for not wanting children. So, like, Tom has an issue with thinking that people's reproduction is any of his business.
Right, yeah.
So then we get to the Sheena and Raquel of it all. Tom claims that he knows exactly what happened because he was on the phone with Sheena and he says that she said, quote, I punched that bitch in the face. No one else seems to recall this conversation, and Lala says that she talked to Sheena, obviously in a different conversation, but that Sheena never admitted to her that she punched Raquel. I do want to acknowledge that I guess Sheena's friends could be lying for her, writing for her, because this is a legal battle, and they could be helping her out. I do think at this point it is much more likely that Tom Sandoval is lying.
Yeah.
If nothing else, you are now the boy that cried wolf and no one is going to believe you.
I also just think at this point that it's, I don't know, this is probably like the wrong way to look at it, but it's like whether she punched her or not, she did not like break her orbital bone or anything like that. She gave her a tiny little cut. How about we move on? Like it was the heat of the moment kind of thing, whatever. And like it really sounds like at this point, if Raquel, I know she like dropped the charges, which I think was just like an attempt to try and redeem herself a little bit. But even if she wanted to like pursue this to the full extent of the law or whatever, what evidence do you have? You have some hearsay about whether Sheena says punched that bitch in the face or whatever. Like you don't have it on video, you don't have anything else. So like, how about we just say, Sheena physically assaulted her in some way, but let's move on.
It's like you're not pressing assault charges.
Right.
But also, in my humble opinion, even if Sheena did punch her directly in the face, Raquel is not scared for her life.
No.
Raquel is not scared for her safety. So filing a restraining order, which would indicate that you are scared that this is going to happen again, is a little excessive. Also, Tom, you quite literally punched Jax in the face on camera, and no restraining order was filed, no assault charges were filed, and it was because he slept with your girlfriend. So I am just a little confused as to why Tom thinks like he's validating her claim for needing a restraining order by saying, well, she punched that bitch in the face.
Yeah.
Like, y'all be punching people all the time. Y'all get in fights. So I don't understand why, even if that is what Sheena did, why that would be restraining order level when you, like, know it was just a heat of the moment. I really fucked with this girl. Like, I really fucked her over. So, like, at that point, you gotta take it, dude. You gotta say, I deserve to be socked in the face.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
So Sheena breaks down the betrayals and the loss of her friendships with Tom and Raquel. Very sad. Virtually everyone is brought to tears.
Yeah. I will say that, like, of the years of watching Sheena, I usually hate Sheena.
We do hate Sheena.
And I take her crying in that moment with a grain of salt, but I will also say that it is probably the most sympathetic I've ever genuinely felt for Sheena, because I do think this is one of the genuinely hardest things she's been through. Like, usually all the time we see Sheena crying, saying, oh, my best friend did this to me, X, Y, and Z to me. But, I mean, this is true at this point, and, like, I understand that she is, like, actually going through legal stuff because of this, and I understand that it's like making her not be present for her daughter and everything like that. So I do think that Sheena is in a point in her life where it's not just crocodile tears anymore.
Yeah.
Which is what I usually expect out of Sheena.
Yeah, I disagree I think Sheena's tears are always real. I just think she's an easy crier.
Yeah.
Which is fine, me too. But yeah, I think like everyone is sympathetic to her. Everyone's crying along with her, except for Big Shock, Rachel.
Yep.
Not a single tear.
Never.
No reaction.
No remorse.
She's literally just like nodding along, listening, completely unfazed.
Doesn't even change her facial expression.
No. Yeah. All right, now we get to talk about Tom and Raquel in the trailer. So, on Kristen Doty's podcast, she talks about these moments in the trailer where Raquel seems to slightly question Tom, which is what you're talking about, where she says, like, well, it seems like y'all have a solid relationship, or it seems like y'all been having sex. Kristen, who, keep in mind, has been on this show, says this seems like clear production to her. She said, like, not, like, coaching her, not, like, staging it, but that production probably said to Raquel, like, now you're going to need to talk to him about what you just watched. Like, you're going to need to bring up the stuff that you just watched to him. Like, that's what people want to see you talk about.
Yeah.
So, in Kristen's opinion, like, it's a little less organic than what you're insinuating.
Okay.
Like, you're saying, which is, we don't know, but you're saying, like, ooh, maybe Raquel is actually starting to catch on to his lies. Maybe Raquel is actually starting to catch on to his manipulation. But it's also very possible that she's just doing what was asked of her.
Okay.
And she knows, like, I have to ask.
Yeah.
You know? For the sake of the show.
Sure.
So Tom's explanations, if you can even call them that, are
No. I can't call them that.
lackluster and not entirely convincing, to say the least. It does, as you were saying, remind us a little bit of how he has probably been manipulating her up to this point, and you know, is continuing to, and she seems to kind of like, even back to the production point, it seems that she asks the question, and then when he answers, she's like, done.
Yeah.
You know, like, she doesn't pry. She's not like upset. There doesn't seem to be any remorse for the affair on really either part. But
obviously we haven't seen Raquel speak much to it.
Well, but even in her one-on-one with Andy, she's kind of like, she's regretful that they didn't share it sooner. Yeah. She's like, I now know that Ariana would have wanted to know, and it's like, not a part of her said, like, I now know my friend would not have wanted me to fuck her boyfriend. Yeah. Like, no part of her is like, you know,
shouldn't have done that.
Fucking my friend's boyfriend was bad. She's like, not telling her soon enough was bad.
Yeah, I was about to say, the closest we've gotten to like a remorse is we should have done this a different way.
We should have done this sooner.
We should have been more open. Shouldn't have lied. All that.
It's like you should not have fucked.
Right.
Yeah, she also refers to this as a transitional phase in her life, which I think her affair with her best friend's life partner as a transitional phase is a little strange choice, I think. We also get to pretty clearly see Tom's MO.
Oh, yeah.
When he wants to have an off-camera conversation with his mistress. Mm-hmm. And the show has to tell him, that's not how reality TV works. You do not get to request off-camera talks with with the counterpart to the biggest scandal in Bravo history. You must take us for a fool, sir. If you think we're going to say, yes, please, go have an off-camera conversation right before she walks onto stage with you.
That to me is just so incriminating, because it's just like, I don't know, we have seen just through his like interview, like when they asked him during the season, has anything ever happened between you and Raquel? This man cannot fucking lie to save his life.
Yeah.
So I think honestly, the moment in his trailer, he's like, oh god, I can't keep up my half decent line for another 5 minutes. I gotta get her off camera.
Yeah. Well, he like leaves the trailer thinking like, if I walk out, that'll end the scene, and then I'll just walk back in with the camera off.
I was like, are you expecting a cut or something?
Yeah, like did he think when he walked out they were gonna be like, all right, you're done.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, we're done here. Raquel does confirm that they have made several attempts to get their story straight pre-reunion, that they planned to tell Ariana an untrue history of their relationship. She like just flat out says like we were not gonna tell her the truth, which I think lends itself to this idea that we're talking about this like big bombshell that's gonna drop. It could be the timeline, because clearly they were gonna lie about the timeline anyway, so who's to say this isn't even a better version than what's true? But I also think, I don't really know that would be the big reveal, because it seems like they're on the same page for what they're saying the storyline is, at least. So, I don't know.
Can I also say that just like, I think that one of the most damning things from part 2 of the reunion is when Ariana, she was kind of just making a joke about like this tactic that Tom had told her about, but it's just like, to me, that just speaks so much more to him as a person. It gives us a better insight to the shit he's been doing for years to manipulate even Ariana, and I assume Kristen, and literally everybody he's ever associated with, is that he always tries to control the narrative, control how they think, and it's just, and with someone as stupid as Raquel, I think it has just worked.
And Schwartz, they're both idiots.
They're just both fucking morons, so...
Well, I also think it was hilarious when
was
Ariana was like, you taught me when someone's saying something about you that you don't like, just cut them off. And he just starts cutting her off. Yep. Like, he won't let her finish.
I'm not doing that.
And he's like, no, you do that. You do that. Yeah. And it's like,
you said that.
What an obvious tactic to just, like, I don't have any other way to refute this, so I'm just going to yell that she's the one that does it. Well, I'm just going to yell, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. And it's like, you are like in this moment
doing
corroborating what she's saying.
Well, I was going to say, it's just like, it kind of reiterates everything that anyone that has watched Vanderpump Rules for a long time, that that has just been something that we've all seen. It's something we all recognize, that as soon as somebody's saying something, Tom cuts people off all the time in arguments. And it's just like, okay, well, good to know that we are all aware that this is a
purposeful.
It's purpose. Yeah. He's doing it on purpose every time. This is his tactic. This is how he avoids. This is how he deflects. And it just makes him really gross. And
every reunion we've seen him sit there and go, can I just, and it's like about stuff that he's not even involved in.
Yep.
And it does feel like, okay, cutting people off is like a strategy here. Yep. So Raquel, I couldn't wrap my head around how this makes sense. She apparently simultaneously believed that Ariana kind of had an idea, but was turning a blind eye, didn't want to know the truth, but then also felt that it would hurt her so bad to know the real timeline that they needed to lie about the timeline. So I'm not understanding how Ariana can both not care, turn a blind eye, not really want to know the truth, and also you believe that she will be so hurt that you need to lie about the timeline. Like, which is it? Does she care or does she not?
Right.
Like, I don't understand. Which I think, again, reeks of Tom saying to her, like, well, we don't want to tell her the truth because she'll be hurt. But also, like, don't you notice she's not following me?
She's been going through a really hard time. Her dog or grandma. I don't really want to put that on her. But if she really wanted to know, she would stalk me and hire a private investigator.
But don't you think that, like, do you think that it had to do with that? Do you think he was like, we should not tell her that it happened the weekend Charlotte died? Like, do you think that's relevant to it at all? Or you think he just wanted it to be a shorter time frame?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
He's the kind of psychopath that I don't know that he would really
care about the Charlotte part.
Right.
I know, that is so devastating. This is kind of a reach back to last week, but when on Call Her Daddy, Ariana said that, like, she thought her and Tom were both mourning Charlotte's death. Like, this was it was Ariana's dog, but, like, it was their dog at this point.
Yeah.
And she said, like, I truly thought, like, he was just as broken up about it.
Yeah, he was just mourning in his own way.
Yeah, well, she said, like, he went to film because one of us needed to go film, but I couldn't. But, like, I still thought he was mourning her, and apparently not.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of this confirms that Tom is a liar.
As if we didn't know that.
But, no, like, when he continuously claims that Ariana is the one who, like, asked him to lie for cameras, that Ariana was keeping stuff from the cameras and all of that, or it at least invalidates those claims in the eyes of viewers when we see him begging to have a secret off-camera conversation.
Right, yeah.
Like, Ariana... It's a little hard for us to believe that it's only Ariana who wanted to keep your relationship a secret, all your issues a secret, when you're literally asking, can we please have a secret conversation?
Yeah. Well, and it's, I don't know. I do think that Ariana, to an extent, has been like, okay, we're not going to give them that. We're not going to, bring our shit into everybody else's periphery. But I do think it is less to the extent that Tom is talking about.
Right.
And I think that she is, like, pretty forthcoming about, like, their actual relationship. I don't think she puts on, like, a facade, but I do think that she is selective. And I don't know whether you agree with that for the sake of the
reality
show.
TV,
is whatever you think of it.
Yeah.
But I do think that Tom is just using that as, like, well, you don't really know, but he's also the only one who is actively trying to hide conversations off of camera.
Yeah, and Kristen actually talked about this on her podcast, too, and she said, like, Ariana did not want to air their dirty laundry, but she did not lie. Yeah. Like, she came out on the show. She talked about hating her vagina on the show. She talked about her depression and wanting to drive herself off a cliff on the show. Like, she did not, like, hide who she was or really who they were, other than, like, lying about Miami Girl and whatever. But I think,
like, shit that Lala would
but
do
also,
too.
People lie on the show.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you do. So... But I do think it's obviously hard because there are people on the show who do give everything and, like, whatever. So I guess we don't know to the extent what they were hiding. But I do think, like, in relationships, there's a little bit of, like, not wanting to air your dirty laundry. But I also think that if they were keeping things under wraps, it was not her by herself. Yeah. Well, clearly.
And I think just based on the testimony that we're getting between Ariana's point of view of it and Sandoval's point of view of it, the MO matches.
Right.
Like, we have seen Ariana be vulnerable, and, we've gotten to know
We don't see vulnerability from Tom.
Right. We've seen enough of who Ariana is actually on camera to, I think, disprove all of the claims that Sandoval is making about her. But we have seen enough of Sandoval on camera to validate the things that Ariana is saying about her.
Yeah. I also think a valid point in all of this that she was making, which you get to decide if you want to believe it, but I also think she did not realize how bad he thought the relationship is. So when he's saying, like, you didn't share our issues, I don't think she knew about half of the issues that he thought they had.
Right.
So I think like, she said on Call Her Daddy, Alex Cooper asked her, like, were y'all having these conversations? Or Andy asked her too, like, was he bringing this to you? And she was like, the conversation we had about this was the one you saw on camera,
right.
and it was 45 minutes. And then on Call Her Daddy, she talked about a few others, but if you're having just a handful over a course of apparently 5 years of misery, you're only having 5 conversations.
Congratulations, that's just maintaining your relationship.
Well, but no, it's like, how is she supposed to believe that you have any, like, major enough issues that they need to be aired on camera when she's only hearing it, like, once a year?
Yeah, well, and that's, like, what I'm saying is that it's, like, I don't know, like, Tom complains about the amount he's having sex way too often, and it's just
but
like...
mostly not to her. He's telling it to the camera and to everyone
everybody
else.
Yeah, but, so to me, I think it's just, like, Ariana, like, in their actual relationship, it seems like they are having these conversations probably at the rate that most people would, but he's just holding on to, like...
He's like, she knows we have an issue because I brought it up. And to her, she's like, we're having a critical 10-year-long relationship conversation. And he's thinking, like, she should know I don't even love her anymore.
Right.
How should she know that?
Yeah.
Because you said, hey, I'd like to have more sex. She's supposed to be like, we're broken up?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we're broken up? Like, come on now.
Stupid.
I also think best part ever was when he says, oh, dude, I'm blowing it.
Oh, I loved that. I was like, God, I'm so glad that despite all of his stupid bravado that he's showing actually in there, in his own private moments, he knows he is floundering.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And he does, like, truly, I think he knows, like, this... Well, I think the reason he wanted to talk to Raquel alone is because he knew he was sucking it up on stage, and he wanted to make sure, like, they go in together because him and Tom had already fucked up their timelines. He's like, we cannot fuck this up, girl. Like, we got to get on the same page before we get in there, and they're not going to let him do that.
Nope.
Sorry.
Yeah. Should have coached her better.
Yes.
Beforehand.
Also, I'm loving Ariana admitting that in their relationship he has, because, like, that doesn't look great for her either.
It doesn't.
You know, so I think that's nice for her to admit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she gets to do it on her terms.
Right.
Like, she gets to use it as, like, a manipulative outing him, and it just...
Yeah, but I also think, like, for a person like Ariana, not that we believe this about her, but to admit that she was, like, dumb enough, quote, to fall for it, I think is hard for her to admit. Sure. So,
I know,
because Raquel and Tom Schwartz falling for it is like, bozos. Yeah. But, like, someone like Ariana falling for it for 9 years, like, it does, I think that's why Lala and her are, like, commiserating so much, because they view themselves as, like, strong people who should have seen that coming, and they both got bamboozled.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Theories for what this bombshell is. I heard one that you might like.
Okay.
It was sent in the group chat, so you may have already seen it. But the theory going around, so there's obviously the theory that they hooked up while her and James were still together. Mm-hmm. And that would, I guess, explain, like, maybe James won't want to sign a contract. But I do find that hard to believe because, A, we've kind of decided that the bombshell would have to happen in the one-on-ones, right? Or else everyone would have already heard it.
Everyone would already know it, yeah.
So if it happens in the one-on-ones, but we've already heard the timeline. Raquel and Tom have both already given the timelines. Yeah. So to me, it seems a little bit unlikely that in the one-on-ones, one of them is going to come back and say, like, just kidding about that. Like, in the same interview, you know? Mm-hmm. But I saw one that I like.
Okay.
It's that her and Schwartz had sex.
What in what portion of the timeline is this?
Maybe, I don't know, like, maybe in one of those mini makeouts. Like, there were rumors they were making out at bars outside of camera time.
See, I don't believe that.
But they were saying because the trailer, we'll have to look at it again, but the trailer for part 3, or the preview or whatever, when they talk about, like, you gotta see the last 5 minutes, or you're gonna, whatever, it flashes to Schwartz a lot. Okay. Like, as if he's gonna be the center of whatever this drama is.
Okay.
But I think that, I mean, it could make sense as to, like, Katie might not want to come back, or, like, certain people might not want to come back if they know that. Yeah. But then the question again is, like, is that something she would say in the one-on-one? Like, she would say, like, well, me and Schwartz did have sex that, like, later that night or whatever.
See, I don't believe that in general, just because my train of thought is that I am pretty convinced at this point that Schwartz was only used as like a jealousy weapon in this entire thing.
You don't think she would fuck him to make Tom Sandoval jealous?
I don't think so. I think that I think Raquel was not attracted to Schwartz enough to like go beyond making out on camera with him. But I do think that was just enough to like make Sandoval jealous, and like he was trying to like push Raquel on him, or like push them together, just to be like, yeah, I don't give a shit about this. This is just a fling for me, and it was just supposed to be like weird, flirty, kind of back and forth, controlling shit. I don't know. So yeah, I don't believe that about Schwartz. Could be wrong, but I would be very, very surprised.
Okay, so do you have any theories on what it is?
I have zero.
I do feel like it's really not that big a deal. Like, I do think it's, like, way hyped up. But I will say, like, what is this last 5 minutes thing? Like,
I do think that the likelihood that it was, it's the bombshell of something having happened while she was still with James, I think that's much more likely.
How would they do that?
But, I have no idea how that would come up. Or why?
I mean, unless in this one-on-one with Andy, he like directly asks her later, like, did anything ever happen with y'all while you were with James, or did you have feelings for him while you were with James? And maybe she does switch her answer with a direct question, you know?
Maybe.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea, man.
But I mean, if the James thing is true, like if it's while she was with James, then I think that would stand to reason that they did probably have a pact, and she did uphold her end by breaking up with James, and he did not, which is like what everyone thinks about, like that's why she would have been trying to make him jealous, that's why, like, whatever, is because they could have agreed well before any of this, like, you break up with James, I break up with Ariana, we can be together, and then she did it, and then a year later he still hadn't done it.
That would go deep, man.
Yeah.
But I could see it. I could see Raquel being manipulated into that, and I could see Tom having such a hard on for that idea.
I don't think he would give up that timeline. I think it would have to be her.
I think it would have to be her.
Like a little dummy.
Because he has no reason to. It literally could only make him look worse. It can only make her look more idiotic.
Well, it makes her look more lied to.
Yes.
You know? Like, it could... But
Still makes her look shitty.
But I don't think she would do... I don't think she would expose it because of that. Like, I don't think she'd be thinking, like, ooh, this will help me because it'll make me look manipulated. Like, I think it seems so far in her one-on-one that her PR team was like, just own everything, but say sorry.
Yeah. So...
And she doesn't seem like she's trying to play the victim of him. Which I think that's where me and you are a little bit differing. Like, I do believe he has, like, super manipulated her. I do think, like, she has been taken along for a ride, and I do think maybe she'll realize that eventually. But I also think until I see any sort of remorse for actually fucking your best friend's life partner, I don't feel bad. Like... You seem to maybe be catching on to, like, ooh, he's making me lie. Ooh, he's doing this. But it's like, until you feel bad for doing that, I don't know. Maybe one day, maybe she will come out one day and be like, holy fucking shit, like, I should not have done that. But I just, without more remorse from her, it's hard for me to be like, oh, she's not at fault at all.
See, I'm of the mindset right now that it's just like, I feel that her lack of emotion through this entire thing, it could be just like a self-defense mechanism just because she's the one under attack here, but I feel like we have seen enough emotion from Raquel in the past seasons, like primarily when James is like drinking and stuff like that, that I feel like there's something that we're not seeing here, that she has been like, either there's something going on with her mentally where she has like lost all feelings or something like that. I think she is going through something.
She has been so convinced that they are not wrong.
Right, exactly. I think she's being brainwashed to the point where she like is numb to all of this.
Yeah.
That's where I'm starting to lean.
Yeah. No, I mean I think that's fair, but I still just, like, she's the one that said, like, I don't think we're going to hell. Like, we're not that bad. And it's like, okay.
I don't know.
But again, how much of it, that is, like, stuff she has absorbed off camera with him. And then on camera, he tries to be like, we're going to hell. Yep. To be like, which also, Kristen said, you know how he said, like, to Ariana, like, you say, like, I don't have anything going on up here. Yeah. And she said, like, no, you made that joke. And Kristen said, like, I was having fucking flashbacks. He makes these self-deprecating jokes, and then he comes to you and basically is like, well, you didn't say it wasn't true, so you said it about me. Right. So it's also possible that he's doing that, like, we're going to hell, just to, like, look good and just to be like, oh, we're so bad. And but, like, he's so convinced her already that they're not, that she's like, no, we're not. So on Kristen's podcast, you were saying she's gotten emotional before. Yeah. This is just a funny point. Kristen and her boyfriend were talking about, like, the times that Raquel has cried in her, like,
they're all
interviews. And it was, like, aged out of pageants.
Puppy party.
Like, this bitch does not cry about, like, anything serious.
Yeah.
Like, ever. I truly... And this is where it's hard for me. Like, I do think she was taken advantage of, but I also think, like, she wanted to be on this show so fucking bad. Like, she was gonna do... Yeah. Whatever, and, like, this is about that for her.
Yeah.
I don't know,
man.
She's not just the way that she...
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Any other thoughts?
No, I mean, I think that's it. I'm excited to see part 3, see where we land on the end of this. Hopefully we get a little bit more substance by the time it's all over. I do think part 3 is going to be the craziest of the 3 parts.
Yeah. So when this episode comes out, it'll be a day before that. So if we are completely wrong about this bombshell, please don't make fun of us.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah. Well, you won't.
I won't.
Mary will be back. Okay. I think that's a wrap.
Okay.
I forgot to mention we are wearing mock-ups of the merch that Mary made us, just so we have something. These aren't what they would, like, actually look like from the website necessarily. I think this one's black on the website. And then YouTube. So this should be out Tuesday. You should be hearing it Tuesday, and then YouTube should be out the next day. So if you want to see the shirts that we just talked about on audio, you'd have to go to
I'm
YouTube.
Wearing for the audio only listeners, I'm rocking an orange with Pop Off, the Housewife Did It podcast, in kind of a lollipop looking. Never mind. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, you got to go to YouTube to see the shirts.
Just come see the shirts.
Come to YouTube. Okay.
Need that involvement.
Yeah, we need your watches. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.